You want to make sure you've gathered all of your ingredients and equipment prior to beginning the recipe. Make sure you do all recipes with the permission of your parents and under their supervision. Hey y'all, I think I'm gonna do a cooking demonstration live. I know you probably can't see me, but you can see at least the ingredients that I have right here on my counter. So I'm gonna do some lemon cranberry cookies. And so I have some granulated sugar, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar. These are my little clear Pamper Chef bowls with my little mix and serve that I have going on right here. And so I'm going to add 1 stick of butter to this. And again, this is the first time I've gone live in a long time. So if it's not a good video, I do apologize. I'll get better as I go. So I'm going to add 1 stick of butter, which is about 1/2 cup of butter. And what I'm going to do is cream these ingredients together until I have a nice smooth consistency. You can do this by hand, which is what I prefer to do, or you can use a mixer to do this. So I think this is probably the part that takes the longest, is when you are creaming your brown sugar and your granulated sugar together. Now I have my butter at room temperature, so that's going to make this process a little bit easier to do. And if you have any questions, I guess you could ask questions, but you know, it's just me, so I'm going to have a hard time trying to read those questions and then respond back to them. So just keep that in mind. I only need 1 egg. I'm going to crack it into a separate container. That way, if I get any eggshells in it, I can get another egg. I'm going to go ahead and add that egg to my mixture. And then I need vanilla. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla to this at this point. And then I'm going to add the zest of 1 lemon to my butter sugar mixture, avoiding the pith. So I'm using a microplane to get the zest of the lemon. And this is just going to fragrant the cookies, so that way you have the essence of lemon without it being overpowered by using like extract when making these cookies. And then you can just take this lemon and save it for later. Make some lemonade if you have a collection of them like I do. Shake off the extra zest, and then stir in your egg and your vanilla to your creamed mixture. And that way it's nice and airy. And then I've already pre-measured out my dry ingredients in my other bowl, my other clear Pampered Chef bowl. So I have 2/3 cups flour, a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm just going to sift this out into that bowl, like so. I love those warm spices because they just kind of bring out the deliciousness of your recipe. And then we're going to add these dry ingredients to our bowl. And so what we've taken was we've added our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients, and we're going to stir them in Again, avoid over mixing those ingredients. And what I've done is actually taken a traditional oatmeal raisin cookie recipe, and then I've modified it into the cranberry lemon, which is why I've added the zest. And then last but not least, I have 1 1/3 cups of oats and a 1/2 cup of dried cranberries. And we're going to add that to our cookie dough. And then once we have that combined, we have our cookie dough. Pretty simple, right? So when you're home and you need a nice little COVID project to do, this is one recipe that you can do as a quick COVID recipe. So I've pre-lined my pans with parchment paper, and I'm going to take my portion scoop, and I'm going to scoop my cookies onto my lined parchment paper, about 2 inches apart. And then I'm going to bake them for 10 to 12 minutes at a 350 oven. Until they are completely cooked. Typically when I cook cookies, I like to make sure that they are brown around the edges. And that way I don't overcook them. Now, there's only one cookie that I typically overcook, and that's intentional, and that's chocolate chip cookies, because I love my chocolate chip cookies crisp and well done. So this recipe is going to make about 24 cookies, 2 dozen. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me. Happy cooking, y'all. Halfway through the baking, you want to rotate your cookies. And when they're finished baking, place on cooling racks. And once they are completely cooled, place on a nice serving plate or serving platter and enjoy.